All right, so we got Zeratul.
All right, so production things maybe fixed. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, so following that, we have a Chen Brightwing picked up.
Very cool.
From Glorious.
I like this. I like the Brightwing picks. I think Brightwing is never going to be a undervalued character. She's so good at so many different things.
Yeah. Actually, I like what Glorious has done in this particular situation. They have 2 DPS, they have a warrior, and they have a healer already. At this point, they can play very reactively to whatever Chaos Gaming picks. They can, you know, if they see something in particular where they have a counter character in mind, they can just go right for it for their last pick. They've left themselves in a very flexible position. So they have picked up Uther and Tassadar.
Yeah, I mean, okay. This is actually really cool because Illidan and Zeratul is something I don't know that I've ever actually seen on the same team.
Yeah, perhaps they have a very heavy roaming strategy in mind to eliminate people out of their solo lanes, just to perhaps get an experience lead. That's something we might see.
Yeah.
And we see Kerrigan picked up.
Wow.
For the final pick.
Interesting.
I would guess that is probably Glaurung on Kerrigan. I'm not positive. Can we see that?
I mean, it probably will end up being him because ZPs is definitely going to be playing Chen. There's like no question at all.
Yeah, he's usually taking up the warrior position.
Nirak really, I mean, so far we've seen him play Brightwing a couple times, and yep, there it is. Countress Kerrigan here for Glaurung, and which means
I mean, he's always playing the divey assassin-y type heroes, so it should be good to see. We have seen him play Kerrigan in the past, so no surprises there. And yeah, I'm excited to get into this game. I want to see what Chaos Latin Gamers have to show us. Of course, like we said, that they were able to take an upset, I guess if you want to call it that, over ESV Tempest. So big ups to them. So perhaps they have some strong strategies to show everybody, show us, show the viewers. Should be a good game.
It should be a good game for sure. The players are. We just have Cthon Luck respawning rejoining the game because he got bugged. So they're going to do that, and that'll probably break everything on my production side. So we'll do that. Yeah, it did. Oh, just
nice.
in time with the change.
You're thinking ahead. I love it. Top-notch production.
Didn't think ahead with the overlay there before, but we got it. We got it there.
Okay. All right. So one thing we can talk about the draft on Chaos Latin Gamers side. They took Stitch's first pick. And then immediately after, they took Zeratul. And I didn't notice this immediately, but there was that particular strategy where you grab a fishing hook, that's the upgraded range, and once you hit level 16, it gets pretty scary. You pull someone out of the other team, and then as they're trying to follow up, the other team of the people that got hooked, they're trying to come in to save that person, Void Prison. And then you eliminate someone out of the fight. You've turned it into a 4v5 effectively. Once that Void Prison wears off, everyone gets into position, throw down all of your AoEs. It's a good way to take a team fight. I'm sure Glorious is well aware of this, that's what their strategy is. Of course, they have a Zeratul player on their team, so they've known to execute it.
This is like what Glorious did for a long time. They did a lot of that. They were all about the picks. This was a big part of the early North American meta in general.
Yeah, of course.
It's just, just that kind of style. But we are rolling on in. All players are in the game, and here we go. Cursed Hollow going to be the map #1 here. It's best of 3 now, yes?
No, still best of 1. It's best of 1 all the way up until the finals. So these are going to be some quick series for you guys. I'm sure that they will make them excellent games for us to all watch.
Wow. The stakes are high.
What?
Best of 1.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said mistakes are high. I saw you fiddling with knobs. I'm like, oh, don't tell me one of us is muted the whole time.
No, I'm not that
Jake's
bad.
just too professional. How could I assume that?
Esports life.
Yeah.
All right, guys, get excited. Cursed Hollow round 3. This is technically round 3. Round 1 had a lot of buys. It was 18 teams, which means typically you'd want to do a 16-man bracket, but once you go over 16, you have to make it a 32-man bracket. So there's a lot of extra stuff. Look at that bat.
Yeah, it's nice. Okay, so for the introductions on Glorious here, we have Glaurung on Kerrigan, the nice Countress Kerrigan bat mount. I love it. Syracuse on Vala. CPs with the warrior class is playing Chen. Nirak on Brightwing, and Cthon Luck rounding it out on Falstad.
Oh, so pretty. No synergy with their outfits. I'm kind of disappointed there. I mean, Brightwing and Kerrigan, they look pretty similar. Nirak's actually stuck on the wall. And on the other half of the map, we have Isaac Soul playing as Tassadar over on Illidan's going to be Swiggity Swag. Zeratul played by Kraken. And Uther here with Wilbur. Is that Wilbur?
Look at the cheeky shenanigans that they're setting up. Actually, I would like to see that Zeratul is out in lane. That way he can provide vision for Stitches to get this little hook gank.
They do have Oracle.
This used to be a much stronger strategy, I will say that, but the very first kill that happens in the first minute of the game doesn't provide that huge of an experience buff. It's going to be more of like a, hey, you got to watch out. We have a strong Stitches player. He can land his hooks. That's going to be more of a psychological pick than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But at the same time, you getting that kill, you might deny some experience in the lane. It's possible.
Yeah, that's true.
The middle lane, much less likely because it's much easier for one of the teams to rotate to mid. But we got the triple lane here, coming out by Glorious once again. We saw this last game, and we saw a pretty strong defense from Integrity in the early game where Nirek was picked off twice.
There we go, they're diving in. They want to deal with this.
Oh, it's very similar to the last game with Uther going straight for Nirek, but does get out. Does get out.
Ooh, nice pull from Glaurung. I like that. Just providing a little counter pressure there. One thing I want to point out just really quick on the talents, double bribe. They have set themselves up, Glorious has, to take double bribe. So it's possible that we will see them, once they get those 40 stacks, they can run over to the enemy team's night camp and just clear those out really quick. We saw that done a couple times yesterday. It's a strong strategy, especially if Chaos Lion Gamers is not ready for it.
Oh my goodness, the polymorph going down with that big
Glaurung's gonna,
primal grasp, but not going to be enough. Glaurung's going to end up falling. Wilbur got very low.
So for those of you guys who aren't aware of what Kerrigan's trait is, it is a shield that goes down for any damage that she does on her abilities and her auto attacks. She gains a percentage of that damage dealt back in shields that stay on her for about 3 seconds. When you pull 3 people in like that and stun them all, you get a ton of shields. So I can absolutely understand why he was in that position, why he went for it. Just quite wasn't enough damage onto the Uther players there, and they weren't able to pick up the kill, which sort of resulted in Glaurung dying. But it was a nice attempt. I really like it. We see it right there. Swiggity Swag out of position just a little bit. Illidan, of course, getting the shield from Uther. That is the protective shield talent. Yes, it is.
Yeah, he used protective shield and his heal to keep him up, and Venom was going to be enough until the double healing or the double sustain came down from Uther. But this bottom tower is getting very low.
All right, so one build that's jumping out at me that's a little bit strange. I mean, we saw Uther, he takes one of the healing traits. That's not something we normally see. Typically, people will grab the mana. When you grab the regen gloves, you get extra mana per second. But Zeratul has taken a focused attack and a Season's Marksman build, so he's going like an auto attack type of build. It was very strange. It's not something we typically see out of Zeratul players. They usually opt to get the the extra damage on abilities, and they'll take the blink cooldown usually on level 1. So interesting. Nirek has cut himself a little bit out of position.
He's getting very low here, and he does back up. He does have the pixie dust to help get out of that. But Syracuse, the big hook on Syracuse as well, doing a lot of damage. But the poly defensively used there on Swiggity Swag. And Swiggity Swag gets just jumped on by Kerrigan, eliminating him. And Glaurung immediately rotates up to try to stall out this tribute, but Glorious doesn't really have a lot of health to sustain with him. Chen has no interest in being here. And once again, we have Syracuse in the middle lane, or is that Cthulhu playing false set?
Yeah,
Cthulhu in the middle lane, just making sure he rotates.
There was a good reason that they didn't have everyone there for that fight. They're already a level ahead. They were soaking both of those lanes during that entire tribute, and it's a strategy that we've seen time and time again from pro teams during this new patch. There is so much more experience to be gained from the lane minions. It's a choice now. Like, do we all go to this tribute? Do we take this fight? Do we just leave people to soak? And they got a kill out of it. They were soaking the entire lane. I can understand it. Yeah, and it's a race to level 10. Perhaps when that third tribute is popping up, if they choose to go with this strategy again, they will have a huge edge in this team fight moving forward.
I mean, in other games, getting those last hits is really crucial. But in Heroes of the Storm, there's no last hitting, but soaking is just as crucial because each and every minion is worth so much. And level 10, especially on a map like Cursed Hollow, actually any map, it's such a big power swing.
So, Tassadar has opted to go with Mule on level 7. How do you feel about that? Typically, we'll see, especially if you're doing the Archon build, Tassadars will take the extra damage, crit hits on any enemy that they auto-attack that's within their Psy Storm. Has chosen to go Mule.
Now, Kubi, if I'm not mistaken, when we saw this first patch, I said I think a more utility Tassadar could definitely be a thing. Yeah. And over this past weekend, it's happening.
Jake, don't tell me. Do you think he's taking Force Wall?
I don't think he'll take Force Wall.
No, okay, not yet. It's too soon. They're not ready for it yet.
But I actually do think it's a thing that can be done and is worth doing. I don't know if Glorious is gonna. I mean, if Glorious does this, start selling T-shirts because I'm buying one. But
okay, so
it will become a thing. But yeah, Kraken is getting really low here. He's able to tap the well and healing up. You can see the timer here. That's actually going to reflect his view.
So it's exactly like we were mentioning. They opted to give up the second tribute, but they have a huge EXP lead. They're about a level and a half lead up. So we can talk about their level 10 talents. Glaurung has opted to go for Maelstrom. No surprise there. We did see Ultralisk taken a couple times yesterday just to have that extra body in the team fight, but Maelstrom, of course, will always have that extra AoE utility damage there. Syracuse has opted to go Strafe. Panda Pals from Chen on ZPs. Brightwing has opted to go Emerald Wind. And, of course, Shock and Awe. No surprises there. No shocking results there?
No.
No, not happening? Okay.
None.
We'll let it go.
And actually, I just realized that the Tassadar is totally not Inglorious, and I'm a fool. But that's okay.
That's fine. Okay.
Well, this tribute is going to be given up here. They realize they need level 10, and they cannot contest it whatsoever. So Chaos Latin Gamers opting to just kind of give it up, and that's actually a really smart play, because if you try to contest 10 dudes with heroics and you don't have heroics, not going to get it. So Swiggity Sweat did a good amount of damage, but that mule could come into play.
That's no good. He has to pop his Metamorphosis just to get out of that situation. It's not where you want to be. It's a really long cooldown on that heroic. That's just a bad position. It just sort of almost forces them to take a defensive stance until that heroic comes off cooldown. It's really unfortunate.
And there's a good chance they're going to have to give up the next tribute because of it. They can try to stall it out, but Glorious is putting the pressure on this middle lane, just getting that experienced lead. They want 13 now. They want their next
I mean, this is exactly how Glorious planned this fight to go. They gave up the first 2 tributes, but got that huge experience lead. Now they're so far ahead in EXP, especially for that 3rd tribute that popped up. They couldn't even contest it. We saw Chaos Latin Gamers taking the smart choice there, not even bothering to contest. And moving forward, it's tough, because they may even be able to hit level 13, which, like you said, it's another set of talents moving forward. It's going to be scary. Well, actually, this position is almost as bad as Glorious could have gotten. They were down here taking this bottom golem, and the tribute has spawned top. Are they going to be able to get up there in time to even contest this?
Yeah, but meantime, Chaos Latin Gamers down here. Nirex getting picked off a little bit, but he can able to get the pixie dust, able to use the shield ally to sustain himself, get out of there. He's going to tap the well and phase shift up, and they're not going to be any way to contest this. Actually, they do get the curse.
They do get the curse. So they have a golem pushing down bottom lane. Of course, they have to deal with this. Perhaps it was Glorious's backup plan almost to say, well, even if we can't get up there in time, we've sort of got them to burn their curse a little bit. We are ahead in levels, so if we try to dive on people, it's going to be difficult for them to contest that fight. And on top of that, they got to deal with this golem. They're going to burn a ton of their curse time. There's only 45 seconds left.
The Gorge going down, but oh my goodness, and the juke there.
Hook.
Pixie does just enough speed to get out of the range of the hook. He did burn Emerald Wind, but that's one heroic for one heroic. And that golem has kept them busy for half of their curse duration already.
And that's exactly what we were talking about. Yeah, that's Glorious's plan, I think, going forward here. They were just trying to be obnoxious, and they're even pushing back out mid. It's so difficult for Chaos Latin Gamers to even try to contest these fights.
Well, they're going to send 2 guys up to try to defend here. Uther just kind of going the safe route in the back, but Ice X Soul gets super low and ends up falling. Tassadar will be down for the duration of this curse, and we see the rest of the team is rotating up here. They need to try to defend this middle lane, even though they have the curse on their side.
So, all right, we got 3 seconds left on this curse, Jake. How much did Chaos Latin Gamers get done?
Nothing.
They got nothing done.
This wall is now removed.
They got the wall down. That's nice. That's nice.
I mean, beyond that, look at top lane, and they have a mule on the side of Chaos Latin Gamers because they know they have to play defensively. And they know that Glorious is getting really aggressive with their push. But has the mule really shown off any like utility yet? Because the top lane is completely pushed out.
It's minimal so far.
The bottom fort just fell. The mule healing the wrong target.
is being obnoxious this game. Every single time he's just down there pushing that lane, keeping everyone so... He kept so many people busy in that last curse where he uses Emerald Wind after the Gorge. It's like he was alone dealing with 4 people while the rest of Glorious was pushing mid.
And he's so slippery, that little fairy dragon, her Emerald Wind, her ability to pixie dust out of scenarios. And a lot of damage going down. Uther forced to sprint back, and the Void Prison goes down, but all it does is delay. There's no follow-up to it. So it's not really what they need. They're trying to shield, they're trying to use the mule, but they cast the mule incorrectly. The mule actually doesn't heal what's closest to it. It has to be at least about 6 feet away. But a lot of damage going down here. Divine Storm, shocking off follow-up. Shocking off hits a few members, and oh my goodness, the Emerald Wind was actually almost enough to kill Ice X Soul. ZP's finishes it up, and does he go for the greed? He can Panda Pals out of here. That's a team wipe.
That is an ace for Glorious. I actually was going to say, hey, that was a pretty nice metamorphosis, and I thought that was going to be the follow-up to the Void Prison because they did catch 4 members, but perhaps the communication wasn't there. The more people you hit in that initial AoE of the metamorphosis, the more HP Illidan gets going into the fight forward, and he actually did hit 3 or 4 people from Glorious, but there was no follow-up from the rest of the team there, so he was basically left in a 1v4 situation that just, it goes nowhere, basically.
Well, they're back up here, and while the teams are, while Glorious is backing up, I just want to talk about the mule once again. There's a little trick that was posted on Reddit about how to actually utilize your mule properly. If you land the mule right next to a structure, it's not going to heal it. It's going to go for a structure. It has to be like a certain distance. I don't know the exact amount. It's not very much, but it has to travel a certain distance before it will heal something. So if there's only one structure damaged, period, you know, they're not necessarily going to heal that exact thing it's on.
Right. So we can see here that Glorious is very well aware of the Merc camp timings. They've all rotated up. I saw all their pass hitting. What are they going for? Oh, Golem must be coming right off cooldown. And as soon, sure as, you know, it came up, they were there.
Well, the Knights were grabbed here, and the Golem is going to...
Denied! Wow! Really nice play from Kraken there. So, of course, Zeratul is unaffected by his own Void Prison. If he catches the enemy team entirely in that Void Prison, he can block them out from taking the tribute. Of course, they can't cap while they're in Void Prison, so Zeratul just sits on the cap point. It happens to time out very nicely so that the entire duration of Void Prism allows him to cap that Golem. Basically, Glorious did all the work, and... you know, the Zeratul player jumps in and just steals it from him.
Still have to look at it. It's still a heroic being used.
Of course he did, but that's something that Glorious has to deal with now. I mean, they are considerably ahead, almost 3 levels at this point. But it's those type of plays that Chaos Latin gamers need to make in order to get a comeback going here.
Catapult's already here in the middle lane because that keep did fall, and Nirak is just being such an annoying right wing with that Master Skin, just kind of being aggressive with the push. You know, push Brightwing, I've actually said before, you can get promoted on Brightwing, and you can do push Brightwing as a style. It's very weird, but it's very annoying. And as a Brightwing player myself, like
I mean, she's got the mobility for it, right?
Yeah, she does. She does.
Okay, so we do see Chaos Latin gamers. They're sort of just cleaning up the lanes because they're starting to get pushed really far forward, especially some of these Merc camps moving forward. It seems as though, aside from that Golem being stolen, Glorious has had map control the entire time. They've essentially killed every Golem, whether or not they got the cap or not, but I think this is probably the 3rd Golem for Glorious and just the 1 on Chaos Latin Gamer's side. So the Golems, they push real hard, and they have to be responded to from the enemy team. I don't know. Jake, what do you think Chaos Latin Gamers needs to do to sort of start to come back here?
Well, I mean, they're doing an okay job with the Merc camps. They're having an okay time, like keeping some map presence in that regard, but their whole like hook Void Prison thing, like that's kind of a big part of their strategy.
Right.
It's not been panning out.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any hooks in general that have had any kind of effect on a game because the way Glorious is approaching the map is like more forcing their position. They're forcing Chaos Latin gamers, and that's a nice Void Prison, but do they actually get the big follow-up here? We see the Archon. The Archon actually just finally gets damage onto the Golem and not even the team. So, you know, I don't really understand anything that happened there. The Void Prison effectively was wasted. It didn't do anything. The Tassadar just sat there tried to just beat out the Golem while 2 members went forward and died immediately. So there was a little bit of miscommunication in the team fight.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Like you said, we saw the Void Prison go down. They had Glaurung separated from the Void Prison. I almost thought it was a misplay from Glaurung's position where he didn't go into the Void Prison just to say, well, you can't damage any of us. They had a position, but like you said, they're going past the Golem. Like they have to. Ooh, really nice shotgun, of course. Kind of an easy target, but that cleans things up for him.
That's all she wrote. Glorious is gonna look this dominantly. I mean, like, yeah, just that last team fight, nothing really made a lot of sense. Void Prison was good, but only 2 players went out to surround it. While the Archon, which is a big damage dealer that needs to get in the front, get into that Void Prison, ready to do the damage, just sat in the back fighting the Golem.
Yeah,
and
you're right. No, and I will say the Zeratul actually had quite a few good plays. Some really nice Void Prisons that came. Like you said, we stole the Golem. More often than not, his Void Prisons caught like 3 or 4 members of Glorious at least, sometimes even 5. So it's really nice you get that kind of setup, but you have to have the follow-up. There's no point in landing these really sick Void Prisons if you can't kill the other team. All you're really doing is, like you said, just stalling out 3 seconds. And that's it. That's really all you're accomplishing. And for what, though? The only time we saw that stall making any use was to steal the Golem.
And it was great. And that's a nice play for sure.
Yeah.
But in the end, how much did it end up mattering?
Yeah. Though, cool. They had a lot of interesting talent builds. Hopefully you guys were able to see them when we pulled them up on screen. They had a lot of different approaches to how to build some of those heroes, so check those out, see if you guys can find some additional synergies there. But it was cool stuff. Hopefully we'll see more of Chaos Latin Gamers in the future. Thanks for coming out and playing today, but I think we'll be seeing more of Glorious a little later. Are they advancing to the semifinals in their half of the bracket? Yes,
yep, they'll be advancing to the winner of, well, we're still waiting on Zelnik versus Cloud9 Vortex. I think Zelnik was a little late to their match. I know in the chat channel in-game we saw Cloud9 was looking for them. So they'll be playing against EG, whoever wins that match there.
Yep.
And I think we'll be hopping into, we're just going to keep following. Actually, no, we're going to switch over. We're going to follow. I think we're going to do whoever wins between Symbiote and Pickup Group versus Clairvoyant.
Okay.
I think that'll be it. We'll switch over to the top half of the bracket, do something different, follow a different team.
Sure.
And but we're going to figure out once that's going to be ready, and we'll be back as soon as possible, guys. Stay with us.